Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Eric with How to Letter Comics. I wanted to show you a quick tutorial on how to make dynamic sound effects, by bombastic sound effects. This is the method that I use. I'm sure there are plenty of other ways of doing it. This is the way I do it. So if you want to follow along, I'll show you how to turn something like this into something like this. All right, let's get started. The first thing you want to do is to have the sound effect itself. The word is usually in the script. Sometimes you make it up yourself if you're writing it yourself. But for this video, we're going to go with probably the greatest sound effect ever made. And of course, that is splort. So how do we make this look dynamic? You've got your text here. You can type it out however you want, right? I'll just retype it. Sometimes you want to add the exclamation point. I don't generally like to do that myself, but you can if you want to. The way that I like to do this is to take my text and convert it to outlines. So to do that, if you have your text selected, go to Type and then Create Outlines, or hit Shift Apple O or Control Shift O if you're on Windows, and that'll change it from editable text to shapes. Now these can be independently moved around from one another. Now, in order to do that, we want to release them from their group, and it's actually very easy to do so. You just select the text again and then go to Object and Ungroup. And now each letter is its own independent shape. And this is where the fun can begin. This is where we start to really play with the shape of the letters and the arrangement of them, the stretch, we're going to bend, we're going to pull, and really give it some life. So it's really simple. What I will do is I like to overlap my letters. You don't have to, but you want to just sort of stagger them up and down. Already this is looking like it has more energy. It's looking more interesting, but we can even pull that a little bit further. So we highlight everything. And then sometimes what I like to do is add some volume to the middle of it. So it looks like it's almost like it's inflated. So I will select the center letters and then just, while holding the Alt key, drag them on the vertical and stretch them out a little bit more. That's sort of a manual way to do it, but you can also do it a little bit more automatically by using some effects. So if we do that, we probably want to group these letters now. So I'm going to hit Control or Apple G, and that'll put it all into a group. So they're back to being one layer group. So then from here, you want to go to Effect, Warp, and Bulge. And so it'll default to 50%, which I think is way too much. I like to be a little bit more subtle when I'm putting this stuff in. So this is the style, like sort of the different styles you have. Right? You've got arc, you've got arc lower, arc upper, and these can be good. It depends on the use you need for it, the sound effect you have, the artwork you're trying to put your sound effect around. If it's sort of a free-floating sound effect that isn't really dictated by the artwork around it, I usually just use bulge. When I'm adjusting this slider, I usually keep it pretty low, sometimes in the single digits, just to give it a tiny bit of bulge. I never really want to go super high. Like, I feel like if we go up into the 30s, 40s, 50s, we're getting like, it's ridiculous personally. So I like to keep it around 14, 15, somewhere in there, in the low to mid teens. If you want to, you can adjust the horizontal and vertical distortion. Just gives it a little bit more life, a little bit more bounce, a little bit more energy. Again, you want to play around with this as you're making your own different sound effects. I personally kind of like how that goes. And if you're adjusting these and you don't see it moving, you just want to make sure you have preview checked. So make sure that's checked, and you'll see it change as you're changing these sliders. So when you found what you want, go ahead and hit OK. And now that's sort of locked in, so to speak. So now if you highlight it, you can see where the original shapes of those letters were, where these sort of blue lines were. That's where the text is before you warped it. And if you want to get rid of that and make sure that those lines match up with where the text is now, it's very simple. Just go to Object and Expand Appearance, and then there you go. It snaps right to it. Now, from here is where we've got a pretty good sound effect. But it's missing a little something. We need a little bit of color. There are a lot of different ways, a lot of different colors to choose from. For the most part, the comic book you're working on, the tone, the color palette, all of that's going to dictate what you want to use for your sound effects. You don't want them to be overly distracting. You don't want the colors to be vibrant if the tone of the book isn't vibrant. You want to make sure that you're making it easy to read, and you are working alongside the artist and alongside the writer to help tell this story. So, try and don't go crazy. Don't go crazy with it. To add colors, obviously we want to come over here to our swatches palette or the color picker. We'll just use the color picker for now. Sport seems like I don't know, a green color, like some kind of slime is landing on somebody or something like that. Somebody's maybe landed in a vat of viscous fluid of some kind of evil layer. Uh, so we'll go with a green, and then generally for the stroke, if you want, you can pick your stroke over here on the left. I went ahead and stuck with the darker green color. I think it works good with the color. I think these colors look good together. All right, so then the next thing we want to do is to combine these shapes together so that they are all one. So it looks like it's one shape, and I'll show you what I mean when I do it. So I want them to look like this, right? So it's all one shape together. I'm going to undo that. I have an action for that, a shortcut key that I use. But in order to do that, there are a few ways of doing it. But one way in particular makes it so that you can still edit those letters even after you have fused them together. You're making a compound shape out of it is what it's called. One of the ways you can do it that doesn't allow you to do that, it does work, but you can't change it after that, is to hit the Unite option in your Pathfinder menu. And if you don't see your Pathfinder menu, just go to Window and Pathfinder, and it'll pop up over in your toolbar. So that'll be Unite, which is just those two squares hovering together, and that will put it together. But that makes it a shape that I can't move. Like if I wanted to move the T down, I can't do that right now. I can't just select the T and move it down. So I'm going to undo that, and then this is the way that you can combine those shapes together, but still be able to go in and edit them. So instead of hitting the Unite button, you go over here to this little hamburger drop-down menu, and you click that, and you hit Make Compound Shape. And at first glance, it looks the same, right? But I can go in here and click. If I hit the A key and get the direct selection tool, I can click just that letter, and I can move it up or down or whatever. I can put it wherever I want, right? So that makes it to where if you need to make some tweaks later, you still can. And then if you decide, you know what, I don't actually like them all glued together like that, go to your selection tool and select the whole text again, and then just go back over here to the little hamburger and hit Release Compound Shape. And then you go back to them being separate ones that look like they're overlapping. Again, it's a taste thing. A lot of the times I like them to be joined together. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, lastly, if you want to give your sound effect maybe just a little bit more strength, make it pop off the page a little bit more, give it a drop shadow. An easy way to do that is to duplicate the shape. So what I will do, my shortcut key is just to hold the Alt key or the Command key and click and drag. It'll give you the option to make a duplicate of that. So on any shape within Adobe Illustrator, if you hold the Alt or the Command key while you before you click on it, it will make a duplicate of it, and then you can move that around wherever you want. Any shape, doesn't matter. So I'll make a duplicate of something like that, and then stair step it down or up or whatever, and then go back to the layer underneath it, and then make the stroke match the fill color, and then we've got a sound effect that's got some, it's got some depth to it. Makes it look a little bit nicer. Jumps off the page a little bit more. So that's it. That's how you make dynamic sound effects. If you enjoyed this, please hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments below if you have any other questions you have about lettering. I'm more than happy to teach you what I know. You want to know how to do certain sound effects or other techniques, other questions you might have, let me know, and I will check those out. That's it for today, though. Thanks for hanging out. Bleh.